Peace of God, harmony of all life. To accept the harmony within, the peace within, is to recognize that that peace and harmony that is within you is not something that you will retrieve from outside of you. What you are has always been. What you are, the light, the love, the perfection, does not improve. Perfection doesn't have to improve itself. But what is true is discovery. Remember, you are not improving your divine self if you are letting go of all of the untruth that has camouflaged that light, that peace, that harmony that is the truth of your divine self. To accept your perfection is not in any way arrogant, but truly humble. To recognize that that perfection was created, not made. Not made by a self, not made by a system, but created by love itself. And every day, in every moment, all divine truth whispers to you, you are the love. Come home. Remember. In this moment of remembering, affirming that this sanctuary is filled with love. Every beloved who enters here is blessed by the love that has already been, coming home to love itself in deep gratitude for God's presence, which is always. And deep gratitude for the presence of all divine beings who serve love moment to moment. This universe is all love. Every element, every movement is of love, going beyond the form to find the light within all creation. This universe is all love. There's only one presence here. It is the life force of God. This life force of God that is your spirit, your life source, is with you and is you for all eternity. And as the identity is shed, the vibration of love becomes stronger and stronger within until only love is remembered. Only peace, only Allow this prayer to permeate your heart. Let it be your guide in your intention of love. And teach me to open my heart to those who come here to be healed. Oh, teach me to open my heart to this love, to heal all this pain of this world. We have strayed from the love of our Father and wandered in pain since our birth. It was Jesus who came here to save us all, to release all the pain here on earth. Oh, my mother, the queen of the sea, it's your love that I feel inside me. Teach me to love from the depth of my heart, to heal all the pain that I see. My Father is here with his love. He knows how to care for us all. He loves everyone who has come to this call, all those who have answered this call. Teach me. Let the prayer just echo in your heart in every moment. Teach me, show me, lead me, take me. And the prayer is always answered. The small boat is coming. It is the love and the light. And as we enter into this small boat, we allow it to navigate our way to the truth of God. The Blessed Mother is guiding the small boat so that everyone can rest within. I surrender to the will of God. And in my heart, I agree and I accept that within my heart is the kingdom of love. Vem chegando, vem chegando, vem chegando, vem chegando. A vaquinha vem chegando, a vaquinha vem chegando. E amor à luz, e amor à luz. Na vaquinha que vem chegando, na vaquinha que vem chegando, vem abrindo o caminho, vem abrindo o caminho de Deus nosso Senhor, de Deus nosso Senhor. A Virgem Mãe quem guia, a Virgem Mãe quem guia, a vaquinha que vem chegando, a vaquinha que vem chegando. É o meu coração, é o meu coração. Senhor, reino de amor, eu sou reino de amor. Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai sought my counsel last night, knowing I had become its elder. They may look like they never have problems, the planets, but they at times do, like us, and then look for a friend to help them. All things are living, even stones. It has to be that way. Energy pulsates through every body, since all are part of the omnipresent living being. Everything is holding out their hands, offering something. How much easier the world would be to live in if we were all as kind and accepted all. The chorus from the peaks will sing in praise when the Messiah comes again, and he will. And Mount Sinai will seek your counsel some night when you can no longer have a need for sleep. All things are living, even stones. The journey of discovery within the world has to be led by the divine. There is no way that anyone can enter into the awareness of the life force of God within everything without being directed. The mystery of the energy fields and the mystery of the love that is the truth within each element is to be taken beyond a fact, beyond the truth of it, and to meet the divinity and the truth of love that rests within each form, to go beyond the form, to allow the divine to lead you into communion with all life. There sometimes is an idea that because the form isn't the truth of love, because it's temporary and because it's illusion, that everything in the world has no value in its spirit. But there is the divine spirit within every stone, within every leaf. And to look beyond, as the teaching says, to go beyond the frame, to the wholeness within. And what you need in that spirit love is you. Because you are every element of creation. And in that acceptance, the belief of being alone, the belief of being separate, begins to fall apart. All of the belief in loneliness, the belief in separation, that every beloved is carried. Every beloved until they begin to accept that the oneness with all creation is reality. You have known every beloved. You have known them all intimately and all perfectly equal. There has never been a time when that love wasn't divine equality. What the ego has done with the world is to separate as much as possible, and to believe that in that separation that some other form could be made that would be a good substitute for the truth of love. And out of that came roles and levels and degrees and likes and dislikes, good and bad, all of it in judgment. And it was believed that it would finally give you a sense of belonging, of connection. But that place within that felt separate wasn't touched. Mainly what the different roles and degrees and levels and everything else that we made out of the ego mind, all that it does is keep reaffirming you're different. You're all different. Differences have no truth to them, but it does not eliminate or change that each beloved has an offering. That is not your difference, that is your equality, your union. To realize that each beloved's offering is perfect and holy in finding from within, but that it belongs to everyone. There is nothing that anyone has that is not shared. When someone plays a violin so beautifully that it makes you want to weep, that violin music is in your heart. It isn't someplace else. It's in the oneness. When someone is dancing across the stage so light, that's your lightness. That's your dance. That dance is within you. Every loving expression belongs to the wholeness of love. There is no truth in any way that there is less in one and more in another. It, it isn't true. Every beloved is the complete perfection of God. The pride that gets developed within the ego system is based on the belief of scarcity itself. It's wanting to hold on to something that is, you believe that there isn't enough of, and that you have to hold on to what you have. But the more that healing occurs and your heart opens, the more you begin to truly see that there's nothing to hold on to. That everything is always constantly offered in love. And then that sense of aloneness, that sense of loneliness begins to start to really disappear. Because you're coming home. The whole time that you are releasing the beliefs of limitation and separation. Each step is toward home. And there is nothing that on our own we can do. Nothing. But no one is ever on their own. You're surrounded, you're held, you're heard. Every prayer is heard, every prayer is responded to, every prayer is answered. And how essential it is to accept through the prayer the help. Imagine that you're going for a job interview. And in the past, you would have been concerned or not knowing if you were going to measure up or if you were going to be able to get it or whatever. And in the truth of love, you can just enter into that moment to offer love and trust that your prayer will be answered. Whether it isn't whether you get the job or not, it's that the light of God is totally clear on whether that's helpful for you. And when you put yourself into the hands of God, the outcome will be perfect. Not the outcome that you thought might have been what was supposed to happen, but thy will be done. And to really realize, I don't know whether this is most helpful or not. Like, the divine knows. The divine always knows everything. And so there's nothing ever to be concerned about whether we get the job or not. It's everything will be in its perfection for your healing, for your remembering. Judgment is the total home of the ego that has no intention of you finding any peace or any sense of harmony. Judgment has absolutely no intention of ever being peaceful. But sometimes it isn't really so clear how judgment affects so deeply. To judge is to be dishonest. When I read that, it was a clarity that allowed a view of the world to be found, and an awareness of the judgment within. But to realize that to judge is to be dishonest, because every single judgment, opinion, whatever you want to call it, is by its nature not true. It's just not true. Judgment is always coming from the mind of the ego, and it means nothing. Whether you are saying, oh, I like this or I don't like this, it's a comparison that doesn't have any value and doesn't have any truth to it. But to realize that it's absolutely dishonest, it is so essential to be aware of that, because if you're not aware of it, that it's dishonest, it seems very legitimate. There is no judgment in God. And so there cannot be judgment in you. It cannot be that that is your natural state. And just for a moment, enter into the possibility of imagine that there would be no judgment. The heaven is here, which it is, and there is no judgment. No one has any judgment about anything. The entire ego structure would lift if there was no judgment. It would disappear and you would see the truth. Because without judgment, everyone is the light of God. The only thing that's being put on anyone is a judgment of identity of some kind. And it has no meaning, has no truth. It's a leap of faith to hold all beloveds and all situations in the light of love. A big leap of faith sometimes that is hard to hold on to, but it's the place where peace finally arrives because it is the lack of judgment. Judgment without self-deception is impossible. But every time there is an opinion or a judgment, you have to be self-deceiving because you are believing in a judgment or an opinion that has no truth. And it's important to remember that the self-judgment is so often directed within. That voice that criticizes and judges your own actions or your ways is just as painful as the projection. But it is not possible to judge without self-deception. So imagine that you don't want to self-deceive yourself anymore, that you don't want to see yourself in any way other than as the light, the harmony, the peace that you truly are. And that you will not have one more opinion about yourself. That there is nothing to criticize or to judge about yourself. Now, the ego would say, well, if you're not judging yourself, if you're not able to have an opinion, how are you going to correct yourself? How are you going to come back to the truth? And there it is. Because it's the Holy Spirit that brings the truth. It is never the same. The mind that judges is not the mind that brings truth, but the Holy Spirit brings truth. And when you're open to the divine gift of receiving the truth, you will be shown correction and shown the way in every moment. Every moment, because that's all that love wants to offer you. Is constant. If there is nothing to judge, and you have done nothing. If you accept that you are the holy home of God, you are the holy home of God. God enters and lives in your divine spirit. You are the holy home of God. Nothing is more perfect than what you are. I am the heaven where God's love resides. To accept that, I am the heaven where God's love resides. You are heaven, which means that you are perfection. And you have nothing within this world or this idea of your identity that is that can compete with the truth of who you truly are. And the Holy Spirit will open those doors in every moment that you want the doors to be open. All things are living, even stones. It has to be that way. Energy pulsates from their entire being. And all are part of the omnipresent living being. When you are taking a walk, you are walking with your friends. You are surrounded by beloveds in every essence of creation. There is a divine being. There's a divine being in each one of these forms. A divine being that is also the light of God. Not different, not less as a divine being. Perfect creation. And that creation is one with us. You walk, you take a walk, every tree is the divine. The dirt, everything is the divine. Go beyond the form, and there is God. And the essence of that and the importance of that is that as you recognize God in all life, you're more willing to recognize it within and return to that exquisite connection of oneness. Oneness that cannot be in any way altered, not in any way. Rejoice in learning that you have made mistakes which have no real effects on you. Every mistake has no real effect on you. Imagine how fast you can heal if all what you think you did in the past or what you think was done to you has no effect on you. That your divine spirit is still perfect and whole and holy. Imagine having thoughts of hate in your mind from the past and realizing and accepting that it has not changed you. No effect on you. The hateful thoughts that you had cannot change the truth of your divine self and cannot change the truth of the beloved that you may have had the hateful thoughts about. It changes nothing because they are mistakes. They are not sins. They are mistakes. They are errors in a concept of that has no truth to it. But the truth is that you cannot be altered. Be perfect. No call to God can be unheard or left unanswered. No call. Now, does that mean that we recognize the answer every time? Not necessarily. Or that we even are aware that we are not alone, that we are one with God and that we feel that connection? No, not necessarily. But it is always answered. Always answered. And to hold that in your heart, even when you don't have the experience of it, is the calling of faith. It's the calling of faith that says, I'm putting my faith in the teaching. I am going to trust and accept that no call to God can be unheard or not answered. And I am going to affirm that my connection is valid and true. And I am going to say yes with patience to being able to experience that truth and feel that deep connection, because it will be felt. It will be felt deeply within, and it will transform your entire being. And every time that you trust that your prayers are heard, you chip away at the untruth of your identity, because you're putting your faith into God rather than into what you've known in the past. And it begins to resonate and it begins to open. God's answer is the only one I want. To have that intention is to realign your mind to the truth of God, and that is at the center of your intention and your purpose. No matter what the situation. You're driving in traffic, you can be working, you can be, doesn't matter what the situation is. It's the communion with God. Where would you have me be? What would you have me say? How would you have me recognize the truth? Show me the way. I listen for God's answer. I want God's answer. And when you want it, you will have it, because God will not leave you without. But it's a big shift to have God at the center of the everyday, every moment existence. And yet, that's what we're called to. And that's where the peace is, and that's where the love is. Judgment will bind my eyes and make me blind. Yet love in forgiveness shows me the way to peace. Judgment will bind my eyes and make me blind. In a way, this prayer is saying, this is what happens, and this is what has happened since the beginning of the belief of time, is that all the judgments of the ego have bound the eyes of all creation to not be able to see the truth of love. The eyes belong to the ego. And this prayer is saying, I affirm that when I see with my eyes, I cannot be seeing the truth. But I can see with the light of God. Give God your eyes. Return them. Return everything into the hands of God to be used for love. In that prayer, everything will transform. If you want to hear only the voices of love, if you want to hear only the reflection of love, you want to hear only the song of love, give God your ears. Give him your voice. Give him your speaking voice. Let every word be the words of love. You will feel that connection go through your heart. And your heart will become a vibration that has to express love. When you give your eyes, everything that you see will be, even though you're still seeing the form through the eyes, your heart's compassion will connect with your eyes, and you will see compassion. You will see everything through the compassion. Give everything. Maybe it seems that it's almost like, why would I give God everything when he already has everything? When everything is already the divine. But we've taken a whole system, a whole identity as separation. And to give it back, to surrender ownership of, of what we made as a separate identity, opens up the door to the grace and the blessings of love. When you surrender your eyes, you're saying, take these eyes and make them holy. Make them the holy servant of God. I don't want to see anything that is not a reflection of love. Let that be your prayer of your heart. And when you surrender the senses, they become useful. The senses become the servant of God too. When, when you are expressing love through words, that expression is your heart. It isn't really coming from your mind. It becomes the delivery of the heart. That there is nothing in your heart that has any wanting of battle or difficulty or winning, but that everything is now God's. And that you don't want to keep it for yourself anymore. Now, what happens with that is that there is a calling of faith. Because to give your eyes to God, to give your ears, your spoken word, when you give all that to God, you're putting your faith in the power of the divine, that you truly want to only see what God would see. You want it transformed. And you're disowning your identity of separation. Do you have that power? Yes, you do. It's the power, it's the one power that we have, which is a choice between love and pain and suffering. And in that, all things are healed. Because there is nothing on the side of God that is hesitating or waiting for more than just an invitation. That's all that the spirit of love needs, is the willingness, the invitation. How powerful your invitation is, you have, it's beyond the power of a hurricane. It's beyond the power of a tornado. You have so much power in your willingness and in your choosing that you can transform your entire identity and life and return home to God. All things are living, even stones. Even stones. The reason it says even stones is because that's usually what's left out. But all the elements are the life force of God. The water element, it's God, it's the Spirit of God moving through in that form. open to the mystery of the divine spirit that is all the water, all the wind, all elements, everything is the Spirit of God. And because it is that Spirit, it is one with you. It is your heaven. There's a beautiful line in one of the hymns that says, I'm going to go and walk among the flowers with the Blessed Mother. That's heaven. And when you're walking among the flowers with the Blessed Mother, those flowers are you too. Everything is your one spirit. There is nothing that you can do to alter your perfection, but it must be accepted. And the forgiveness is so essential. The forgiveness of the past, the forgiveness of all opinions and judgments, roles that have been given, limitation that has been placed, fears that have been held, all of it forgiven. Let go. And trust in the divine light of God. That's all that there is. No call to God can be unheard or unanswered. Don't be stingy with what you ask of God. God, lead me, show me. And let me learn to follow. Let me learn not to walk ahead as the knower, but to step back and ask for truth, for the way of love, for the light. And always with the faith that it is always answered. In the quiet, the voice of God can be heard. The voice of Spirit can be heard. The voice of all the divine beings can be heard. Not for entertainment, but to affirm your prayers are answered and you are guided. And all the planets sometimes have to reach out and ask for help. It's all the same. It's all one. It's all love. When you look at a cloud, when you see a shadow of sun coming through on the earth's movement, it's God. Open the heart and invite it all in. To forgive all the judgment of the past is to set yourself free. Surrendering it all into the hands of God, into the bonfire of love, not wanting to hold on to it. There's no wrongdoing. You are innocent. You are pure. You are the love of God. Nothing else exists.